Black and White 2, a video game where you literally hold the unfathomable power of God, where you can use all your power to fix the injustice in the world, stop hunger, poverty, suffering, or you can feed children to this giant tortoise. It's a pretty good game, but you've probably never heard of it, as it came out all the way back in 2005, before the invention of Fort Knight. And also being an older game, it's hard to get your hands on it nowadays unless you got a physical copy or a brain cell and a keyboard to type something into Google. Yeah, the game is technically abandonware now, so it's not like your heartstrings are going to be pulled too much feeling that guilt for not paying your capitalist overlord, Peter Molyneux. If you don't know much about Peter Molyneux, it wouldn't be too surprising, as he's a bit of a forgotten legend at this point in video game history. But he has created a few games you've probably heard of in the past, the most famous of all being the Fable series. But back in his heyday, Peter Molyneux was known mostly for his rampant over-promising and grandiose ideas that never really came to fruition. Think of him kind of like a British Todd Howard, but bold. But before his fall from grace, his studio, Lionhead Studios, and himself made a game called Black and White. And in 2001, this game broke every record imaginable, getting universal praise beyond belief. As such, Mr. Molyneux himself put on his thinking cap and thought, why not make better game? Black and White 2. And it didn't quite live up to expectations. And it's not to say it's a bad game. I think on the contrary, it's an amazing game, but it just wasn't quite what people wanted, especially after 4 years of development. Which is why today I'd like to show you what you're missing out on this forgotten gem of a game where you literally play God.
The birth of a god. Called by one pure prayer.
There's actually supposed to be music here, but I turned it off, so it's no longer nearly as dramatic. So starting Black and White 2, you're greeted by these two fluffy little fellas, which you may remember from the first game. That's right, baby. Grippers on arrival. And these two will be acting as your godly moral compass. Good, evil. You can tell which is which, by the way, because one's an evil caricature of the devil, and the other is Karl Marx. But we don't just get those two. We also get our fursona.
So, now it's time to choose. Click on a creature with the action button to highlight.
So the creature you pick doesn't have too much impact, but it will act as your avatar on the ground. It'll have a whole bunch of functions that we'll get into later. I'm sorry, star signs? No. Which creature did you pick in Black and White 2? You seem like a monkey man. I, however, am not the monkey man. I am the base cow of awesome sauce. For some reason, if you think I made the wrong choice, don't worry, I've got this thing right here that proves me right and you wrong. Don't sign me, as the kids say.
Our mighty Greek capital.
Oh. Okay, the devil's like glitched out on my screen. It's supposed to be a real dramatic scene where the civilization you are a god of is coming under attack from the Aztecs, and I'm just staring at this.
Most of us hides in this city from the brutal Aztecs, and now they are at our walls. I implore you, please help us.
So yeah, TLDR, the very small amount of story in this game is that you are a god of the Greek civilization and they've come under attack from the Aztecs, who are absolutely raging war upon them and destroying everything. There you go, look at that cow right there in the middle of battle, unbothered.
Scaled the wall.
Oh, he's finally awake. Okay, now I've explained the story, we can just go ahead and... Here I am, God. Welcome, my children. I'm a giant hand. So if you can't tell, they took the whole by the hand of God thing quite literally. And with your little hand, you can interact with this world. As much as I wanted to play the actual base version of Black and White 2, getting it to work on modern systems is a bit impossible. So I am playing with the Redux mod, which makes this thing actually work, but does change a whole bunch of stuff. So if you're wondering why some of the lands look different, that's why. And I won't lie, it does change quite a lot about the game, but not enough that it's completely unrecognizable. It's still pretty much Black and White 2, just reworked a little bit. It's definitely not Peter Molyneux's vision, though. So these people on the ground are the people that have chosen to believe in the giant hand in the sky that occasionally feeds them to a cow. And with these little villagers, you can go ahead and set them to what you think they should be doing for the village. And you do this by quite literally grabbing them and placing them next to the thing you want them to do.
God, please, send me a message. What should I do in my life?
Cut down
a tree.
But there must be a greater purpose for me.
Here is an axe.
Disciple Forester.
So every time you pick up a villager, put them down on what you want them to work of, you're greeted by the narrator actually saying the role out loud.
Disciple Forester. Disciple Farmer. Disciple Breeder. Disciple Breeder.
It does mean every time you first get into your new settlement,
Mine Worker.
you just have to listen
Disciple Forester.
to this woman
Disciple Forester.
tell you what you already know. Yeah, role's pretty simple. Farmers get food, foresters get wood. The only one that's kind of weird and freaky is the...
Disciple Breeder.
Yeah, they just go around and make more villagers, unsurprisingly. Okay, now that you know what the villagers are, how to move, and a few other little things which we don't have to stick in that land to find out, we can now move on to the first proper land in Redux, which is a brand new one that has been added.
Norse are led by the fierce chieftain Haldir. He is feared by all those who cross him. If the enemy take your town center, or if all your people die, you'll lose. Be very careful.
So here we are finally in the game properly, and we can get to work on doing what God does best. Micromanaging. We've got our starting believers and a giant cow. As you complete objectives, you get yourself God money. That's right, even God has to pay the man. And with our godly bucks, we can buy ourselves new buildings, new abilities, but the first one I always get is multi-hand pickup, which is just as simple as it sounds. It lets you pick up multiple of the same type of things in your sweaty, godly little hand. Because during every new land, you will have to reassign all your villagers. Just don't do what I do and shake your mouse, assuming it will drop one at a time and... Yeah, I learned that lesson pretty quickly. Brings us over to the karma system in the game, where if you do evil things, you move towards the evil side. If you do good things, you move over to the good side. Now, what counts as a good or an evil thing is up to interpretation. As you move too far either way, your land will start to change to reflect either your goodness or your not so goodness. Even your hand will start to look a little bit different. We're also limited about what we can do in the world by our influence ring. It doesn't stop me, however, throwing giant rocks at the neighboring village until they worship me. You know, now this rock has crushed my house out of nowhere and the storeroom with all the food. I'm starting to believe. So in the base game of Black and White 2, the way your influence ring would actually expand is simply by building next to it. But in Redux, they've actually changed it to be on population, I believe. Speaking of building, it's time to give our villagers some homes. Now we can help them out by dropping resources on the buildings and then setting a guy to go and build it. Now this is a pretty slow process. The more builders you have, the faster it'll be. But I'm God. I'll pick up this tray and build the house my damn self. God have given you a mortgage of 25 years. Now the downside to this is that you actually lose some of the resources if you build it yourself. But you can also get your little creature to build stuff too. We also have a altar where we can set people to worship us and generate mana for us to use miracles out in the world. Right now, all we have is the water miracle, which we can put out fires with or grow crops. Sounds real fun. I have to say the miracle usage in this game is definitely lacking compared to the first game, but don't worry, we do get some fun ones we can purchase later on with our God Buck. Meanwhile, I guess I'll just terrorize my villagers by making it rain. Hey, you know that village that I threw rocks at? Well, it's no longer there because they've seen how cool my village is with 4 houses, and they want to come live over here. This is how you can peacefully win a land. Oh, sorry. My cow builds buildings. What was that noise? And we can encourage good behavior in our creature, like getting it to build more buildings by simply going over it and giving it a scratch. Or, oh, I'm accidentally slapping it there. The mouse controls are a little broken on modern systems. There are a few behaviors you want to encourage your creature to do, like building and not eating all your villagers, because he will start off with a taste for blood. Now, I mentioned that you can win over the land by simply getting all the other villagers to move into your village if it's impressive enough, but there is also the way of war. You see, unlike its predecessor, Black and White 2 added a RTS strategy in terms of armies, and it ain't great, especially considering you are literally God and you can just drop giant rocks on your opponent's army. So what's the counter to the giant rock throwing hand? And you know, whilst you could go ahead and just keep throwing rocks at your enemy's armies until they disappear, you can also fight them in battle, which we will be doing, but not right now, because I'm busy showing my might by throwing people off a cliff. As you can see, our villagers are expanding quite nicely. Our influence ring is getting larger from our population increase, and I do have to say I kind of prefer the original black and white two-way where you just expand by putting a building down, but I can see why they've changed it. It was a little bit gamey, because you could just build a conga line of houses to expand your influence into your enemy's capital and drop fireballs on them. Now, we can go ahead and keep expanding and winning the map by simply being impressive with how our city is built. Or we can go ahead and start expanding our town by force. Now, even the towns that we've already emptied and moving to us, we can recapture and bring more people over and start a second settlement. This means even though the villagers have moved out of the town we are capturing, we can still recapture it, get people moved back in from our own village and resettle it. This allows you to have multiple towns and also get yourself more influence on the map. This will require you though to build an army, and as you can see, I've got myself a battalion of infantry right now. It is a 1-to-1 translation, so you will need one male villager for every single soldier, which means war is very costly, especially at the beginning of the game. I think there's supposed to be music here, but I turn it off in the options. So these guys look very crazy. Oh, there goes the army. That's like 50 of my villagers never coming back. But thankfully, I've got 50 more. And behind them, I've even recruited some archers, one of the only 3 different types of units you can get in this game. And like I said, the RTS strategy in this game definitely feels a little bit tacked on at times. It's not very well done. And there you go, I've conquered the first land and I can now move on to the next one. It's that simple. That is how the game plays. You move on from island to island, conquering each one until you're done. Now, you can stick around on the land until you want to leave, so you can finish any unsorted quests or objectives, or if you just want to build freely because there'll be no more influence ring on that land, or you can move on like I'm about to do and get out of this tutorial hell.
These Greeks busy themselves, but they are no threat to my Norse warriors of blood and iron.
If you can't tell, we've moved to the next land, and the Norse guy who's already here doesn't like us. Now, one thing Redux adds is a portal during the end of each land where you can move in some of your units from the last one, much like the original first game. It's a little bit unbalanced, I won't lie, but it does even out a bit later when the enemy has larger armies, but for the first few ones, it's a little bit broken. Thankfully, my god stimmy check has come through, and I can now throw fireballs. Finally, a cool miracle. So you won't believe it, we were walking around the forest in the middle of the night. A giant hand comes out of nowhere, sets us all on fire. So I've been looking around the map, finding all these cows, and putting them in the storeroom so my villagers have food. And I didn't realize it makes you quite evil sacrificing those cows for food. It's also not going to stop me though. Like I said, having an army straight away on this map makes this a absolute breeze. I'm already at this guy's capital with a gigantic army, and my cow, who's can you put that guy down? Yeah, being a soldier in my army, you never know if the cow's gonna eat you. There are many roles for your creature, not all of them too useful. We had him building earlier, but now we're gonna set him set to soldier. I've also taught my little cow an upgrade, one that I've spent my god stimmy bucks, which now allows him to shoot lightning bolts out his damn hands. Hoofs, I guess, actually. If you can't tell, recording this game hasn't been easy. I got a lot of footage that looks like you're just kind of wiggling the HDMI cord in and out of your computer. Then I got more footage where the top part just kind of freezes and then the game plays all at the bottom there. I don't know what that's all about. Okay, I mentioned it earlier about how it's kind of broken to actually send your units from one world to another, which you wouldn't be able to do in the original Black and White 2, but was a feature in Black and White 1, which is assuming why they added it in Black and White 2 Redux. So I went ahead, I sent a whole bunch of my army into the next world. Now watch just what happens. We're then going to take our new units who just arrived out of the portal and march them straight into the capital of our new foe, the Japanese. Just bear in mind that this is what my land currently looks like. This is all I have. It's just that easy. Now, it's not exactly the most fun or optimal way to win the land, but I am very excited to move on to the next one, which I consider to be the first proper and challenging land that you will face in Black and White 2. By the way, just conquered the entire land, and this is my great civilization. Just a whole bunch of people starving to death on the ground. Yeah, now like I said, moving on through the lands in Black and White 2, they do get more difficult. The one before had a little bit of a difficulty curve, but obviously we kind of skipped it because we're that good at the game. I did have some footage of me conquering that land normally, but unfortunately it looks like I've taken 20 Benadryls while recording it. This land has a pretty tiered defense, which you can win by using your influence and making a much prettier town than those Japanese. But because of the changes in Redux, you now have a tiny starting zone you have to work with. So, shucks, unfortunately, it looks like we're going to have to do the bloody murder and warpath in this land. What a gosh darn shame for me. God. One thing Black and White has hanging around the maps are these silver scrolls, which will give you a quest in the world. Something that was in the original game, but also way more memorable. In these, they are definitely lacking. For this quest, all we need to do is look around the map and find the 7 statues of the 7 samurai. After finding all the statues on the map, we then get ourselves a unique little puzzle where we have to figure it out, and it takes us so much oh, we did it. And then from the power of the woke laser beam rainbow that we shot into the statues, they come back to life and we get a unit of 7 samurai. They don't last long, and whilst they are a powerful unit, just like every other unit, they are 1-to-1, so if you lose a guy in a battle, the 7 samurai are suddenly the 6 samurai. The adversaries you come against in these lands also get their own creature. This time around, they've got themselves a tiger, which is nowhere near as cool as my cow. As such, I will proceed to just keep dropping rocks on it. The AI will be a lot more aggressive in the lands going forward, which is fine, because once again, I've got myself a big old rock. And we also got our 7 samurai, although it looks like 3 of them have fallen over. But after destroying what little force they sent over, I'm now going to go send my cow to preemptively go knock a hole in their walls for later, which took way longer than I would have liked because the AI got a little bit stuck and didn't quite know what to do with the wall. Occasionally that creature just kind of hangs out inside the walls there. I just keep throwing fireballs at it. Oh. That's not my fault. And because of the changes in Redux, I can't really get my wall the whole way around and give me a good amount of area with a good amount of defense. So I've just given up, and now I'm just letting them in and throwing fireballs at them. Okay, fast forward, I've put loads of houses down, we've expanded a lot, and the influence ring is completely broken. Yeah, I'm not really sure what happened to my circle, but someone's eaten just a whole chunk of it here. And with our settlement prospering and growing, it's time to go on the offensive once again. Also, shout out to my cow, currently repping just one of my soldiers. Now, like I said, you could just win the land on impressiveness alone, but that is just too easy, and it's an easy trap to fall into in Black and White 2, because you can just bunker down and throw rocks on your enemies and there's not too much they can do about it. Redux does make the AI more aggressive, smarter, and gives it way more tools for its disposal in later lands, which I gotta say does help with stopping you just bunkering down and building cities until all their cities move to yours. But again, when working with a game made 20 years ago with some questionable AI, there's only so much they can do to make it better. That's right, God has arrived, my new village, and I hope you like the smell of cow. Time to do the funniest thing imaginable now and build a wall around his wall so he can't get out of his city. There you go. Now the entire Japanese main city is cut off. Something that's kind of cool is every single villager has their own unique name. In Black and White 1, there was actually an age assigned to them and a whole bunch of other information, but for this it's just a name, sadly. But it is all developer names, I believe, or people that worked on the game, or just other Easter egg names. So if you find a Peter Molyneux, throw him in the river like I've been doing. Speaking of grotesque crimes against humanity, when you've conquered a new village and it's empty, simply grab a man and a woman. Go ahead, throw them down in your newly conquered town, set them both as disciple breeders, and check back later. And look at how many kids they have had over here. Oh my god. Oh, sorry. I guess I should mean oh my me. Yep. 2 villagers have gone ahead and sprouted this many children out into the world. And I don't imagine the gene pool's going to be looking too healthy here on out. But don't worry, we'll just call the town Grimsby. Yep, I'm sure if I sprouted 42 kids in the space of a week, I'd probably be walking like that too. Oh, a whole bunch of them just went from children to grown-ups right there. Look at that. Wait a second. That's the original breeder we have in town. And that's not the woman I put in. So, oh, the implications there. I'll leave it to your imagination. This whole town's messed up. You got so many damn kids, so many people, and they want more. This is their current demand, is more. Anyway, weird social experiments done. Time to throw rocks at more things. Yeah, you see, this guy's been locked in his own house for a longest time now, so I think we should just put him out of his misery. Why am I throwing rocks anyway? At least you have the power of fire! Oh, and in case I never mentioned it, because I completely forgot, you can influence outside of your influence ring, but you can only do it for a certain amount of time, and the further you go away, the faster that time runs down. So you can be a bit tactical, like I'm doing right now with your fireballs. Okay, and just like that, we have once again conquered the land. It wasn't too difficult, but it did take a lot of time as we had to build up, which is what I like about Black and White too. You have a little bit of war, you have a little bit of building. Sometimes you got a bit of spare time to throw people off a mountain. Obviously, we can't leave this land without checking out Grimsby, because we've left them over there for quite a few hours now, and I imagine there's probably 1 or 2 more of them. Right? Oh my! Started off with 2 people. There's now 226 people in this town. We should get an exorcist. Now, welcome to the final land I'll be showing off today. And one of the biggest things I have yet to even mention, which is wonders. There are 4 wonders in the game, and they act as a gigantic miracle, but they require a vast amount of resources to even use, and then also need to be charged up with worshippers. Now, the reason I've not really shown them, because unless you're the AI, as a player, they are pretty much useless. We'll get to that in a bit though. But just note that I have bought the Hurricane Wonder, which will spawn a gigantic hurricane on the map once it's built. Once again, not too much to say here. I've been dropping rocks on the AI's attacking armies, and now I've got a whole bunch of bodies I need to dispose of. And my corpse disposal choice today is that direction. There go my worshippers currently charging up our Hurricane Wonder. And don't worry, it'll be just as underwhelming as it'll be worth to know what the hell it even does. Every damn time I get a new immigration, I just take all of the new immigrants and I take them over to the Hurricane Wonder, and I tell them to worship this giant promiscuous thing. Bonk! I don't particularly remember the AI being this aggressive normally in Black and White 2, so it could be a Redux thing, but either way, they are no match for giant rock. Okay, this is most certainly a Redux thing. Just look at how many damn catapults they're sending at me. Whilst catapults and manpower is expendable, rock is forever. So I've moved up and I've conquered this little town over here. We're going to do the same trick we did in the last land and get 2 people over here to build it up for us. At least that was the plan until the AI decided to show off and use their own wonder that they have against my new Grimsby town. And after the earthquake was done hitting, it, well, there really wasn't much left of Grimsby. Like I said, the wonders are very much for the AIs. They can put them anywhere on the map. You have to use them within your influence ring or just however far you can get out of it. So finally, after an hour or so of gameplay, I have enough charge to use my Hurricane Wonder. And I can't just pop it down in the middle of their town like they did with me. Now we have to faff around and see just about how far we can get. And the Hurricane Wonder, it's not the best. You see, because the amount of damage it does in the time that it takes, the resources it actually eats to even be built, with the amount of villagers that it requires for worship, I could do as much damage with 2 rocks. On top of the fact there is the RNG element that the hurricane or the earthquake or any of the wonders you spawn could just go in a different direction that you want them to, other than the volcano one. That one is usually pretty good. And also the most expensive thing in the game to buy, so good luck getting it. There you go, once again the AI's put down their own earthquake and it's just like, it's done no damage and went completely the wrong way. In return, I shall drop my own hurricane right in their town. I managed to sneak it in. Let's see how much damage it does. Oh, there we go. The hurricane has spawned, and the camera's not focusing on the hurricane too much there. We're just kind of looking at the sky. Can we get a pan down? Oh, we've gone the wrong direction. In fact, we just completely went away from the town and we're stuck on the mountain. A hurricane required about an hour of gameplay to actually get enough charge for, and it did nothing. That's about as much as I wanted to show off of Black and White 2 today. I could have gone ahead and finished the game here. We've only got a few more lands, but I wanted to save those to see whether or not you would actually go pick this game up for yourself and play it, because oh boy does this game deserve it. Even though I've raged at it, I've hated it, I've pointed out all its flaws, I still spend 4 damn days straight playing this thing, having to restart multiple times because footage didn't work, to having to reinstall the game like twice to even fix some of the stuff. I even had a game crash when I was about halfway done and I hadn't been saving. So no quick saves, no auto saves. Guess what? Had to start again. But the Redux mod definitely makes things a lot better. It does change some stuff that I miss from the original, but it makes the gameplay so smooth and way more stable, it's definitely worth it. Now, I do have a couple more videos on Black and White 2 on this channel from a few years back if you want to go ahead and watch them, but I think this is the best video you should watch, really, if you want to figure out if you want to play this game, or if you've never even heard about it, you've seen this video and now you're interested, because it is one hell of a gem. But the real sad thing about Black and White 2 is that the IP is dead. I don't even know who owns it currently. I'm pretty sure last time I checked there was a bit of weird stuff going on where nobody even knows who owns the game or if anyone claims ownership of it, because currently there is no way to actually buy this game other than getting a physical copy or Google, which is really sad because there has not been a game like the original Black and White or Black and White 2 that has come out ever since its release, really, that has ever scratched that itch that I want to scratch so damn badly. I would just love for this game to even come out and be a stable version. Maybe someone would patch it. That doesn't require a whole bunch of changes to the base gameplay. But in a game where you literally play God, that is all I have to show today, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like, hit subscribe down below, and go check out some other videos on the channel. Goodbye!